Hello and welcome to another edition of Around the Ice on Fantasy and Frames. Tonight, keep you up to date on what's going on around the NHL, a little bit of hockey talk, fantasy, betting. We got to get off the snide at some point, so stick with us. We got all that ahead here on Around the Ice on Fantasy and Frames. Welcome one and all. I'm JT, your host. You can follow me on the X at JT Orange. Alongside me, as always, Bryan Toast Clark. Follow him at Toast Clark and Aaron Tometich at Titch4141. There on the X, fellas. Welcome in. Plenty of action going on here in hockey as things are starting to heat up here a little bit as we're 10, 11 weeks now into the season as we get going here, and we're kind of seeing who are the good teams, who are the bad teams. At least we think we know most of the time, and then we get slapped in the face with a bad bets. But things are getting going here. Fantasy's heating up. How are you guys doing tonight?
Yeah, hey, glad to be here tonight, JT. Thanks for the intro. And honestly, I think we know who the good teams are and the bad teams are. It's just that the bets we're actually putting in really is a little bit sporadic, right? I mean, we think we had that figured out, and then we really don't. Last year, I remember I was just fixated on basically betting the top 3 or 4 teams on the money line, betting that team to actually score over 2.5 goals, and actually betting that team's best player to have an assist. And I did it with Tampa Bay last year. I did it with Colorado last year. We ended up doing that with Florida a bunch last year and stuff, and even Edmonton. This year's just not working out. We just really haven't been able to hitch that wagon to that formula to make it so easy, especially with the matchups you actually want at home. Taking those teams at home as well is even the best formula. This year's just been a little unpredictable, where the best team will actually win those games, and it'll actually work out from a non-gambling perspective, but the gambling still is actually sporadic. So hope when that settles down, we actually win a couple and it can enjoy the season at the same time.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Toast. We've talked about this a couple of times. It's those solid bets, like you said, that were there last year just don't seem to be there this year. That doesn't mean that there isn't something out there. There's not opportunities out there. I'm going to give you two. I'm going to give you two to cure that. Number one, bet against the Sabres in every way, shape, or form. I know we're all Chicago guys. We saw what the White Sox did. They absolutely just beat the wheels off the record for consecutive losses, or actually overall losses for the regular season. I don't know how long that record stood, but they beat it, so they're terrible. And the Sabres are they're getting pounded right now. It still looks like about 10 seconds left, 6-1. Am I reading that right?
Line had a hat trick halfway through the second period.
He could have just sat the bench and he still would have had his trick. Well, so yeah, bet against the Sabres. And then, again, keeping it with the Chicago theme, if the Blackhawks have the lead after 2 periods, go ahead and take the other team. Just take the money line. If you get plus action, they're getting dummied by the Capitals right now, 2-0. So it doesn't look like this one will work out tonight for us. But you follow those rules. Maybe those replace the standards we had last year. The point per game for McKinnon, point per game for McDavid. Just bet against these 2 loser teams, and you'd be all right.
Aaron, that's a great transition for us. Let's get to some of the games tonight. Let's get to some of the action. Let's take the listeners around the ice.
Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game.
Hey! All right, we're going to go around the NHL here, talk about kind of what's happening. This one, Jorge, our fierce leader, thank you for joining us. Says, what's good, gents? He says, Caps. He's a Washington Caps guy, so he's happy at the moment. And let's start off there, fellas. Let's start off as we're going around the NHL, kind of talking about tonight's action. Right now, we got the Capitals on an absolute tear right now. 2-0 up right now on the Blackhawks. A couple other games we got going currently in this one. 4-3 Tampa over Columbus. Carolina 4-0 over the Islanders. Jersey's up 2-0 on St. Louis. Nashville 1-0 on the Rangers. Scoreless in the first for Calgary and Boston. We got 2 games have already gone final. Penguins 3-2 over the Kings, and we got the Canadians with a 6-1 win, like Aaron just said, over the Sabres, who can't seem to get it together. And then we've got our 2 late night ones, our 9 o'clock start, the Senators and the Kraken, 9:30 start Central Time, Sharks against the Jets. Fellas, let's start off here with the Chicago-Washington game. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with those teams and what's happening tonight.
Well, JT, honestly, the Capitals, what they've actually done is so unbelievably impressive. This was a team that, honestly, I drug them through the mud in the preseason. I'm like, this team is not going to be very good at all. They really put an odd roster together, in my opinion. And man, did they actually prove me and a lot of other people wrong. And because the team continuity is there. You got Dylan Strome has 38 points in 30 games. The guy who the Hawks just kind of gave away, right? And you would think that when they Ovechkin actually went down, has that been 3 weeks ago now? I think maybe 3 weeks ago. You would think that, oh my gosh, here the sky's actually falling. They're going to really go into if anything, they've actually been a little bit better. And it's been an unbelievably impressive, man. Washington, I love to see it. They got some sweet-ass uniforms. There's no doubt about that at all. I was really bummed out because when Ovechkin was really on that tear at the half of last season, and then basically all of this season so far, if you add up those, I think he had 22 goals in 21 games to end last season. And then I think he came out this year and he had 17 goals and like, I don't know, was it 15, 16? I mean, it was a dumb pace. And then I actually had him in a long bet to go ahead and break the goal record this year to get 43 goals. Honestly, he could still do it. That's how crazy of a pace he was on. But you got to think that it's going to be pretty tough for him to actually do it this year now. But hopefully he'll make it back here next week and maybe the next week, Aaron, because you have him. I'm playing you in fantasy this week, and if he comes back next week, that's fine by me.
Yeah. I would have liked the boost to have it there. I'm going to need all the goals I can get this week against you. So it's kind of part 2 of the. I don't know, JT, when you and I play, but it's kind of part 2 of the battle of the pod between the 3 of our teams. So funny how the schedule worked out like that. But yeah, the Caps, you said it all about the Caps, just a great team chemistry. And like you said, and we said in the off season, it seems like Nashville caught all the headlines. They took the tier 1 free agents. Yeah. Washington kind of took the tier 2 guys, tier 2, 3 guys, just the guys that, Mangiapane, Pierre-Luc Dubois, who had an unassisted goal tonight. So they just, went in there and got the guys. They knew what roles they needed to fill. So hats off to the front office. I think it's still George McPhee. I'm not real confident with that, but yeah, running the show there, just well done. And again, hats off. We've talked about Spencer Carterberry a few times that he's kind of younger guy, younger coach, might be the youngest coach in the NHL, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I might be making that up too, but whatever it is, he's got the room. He's got the guys listening. Some of those guys finding second careers. You said Stromer, PL Dubois, those types of guys. Then again, it's important to have that and important to have that depth. But if you don't have a goalie, it's kind of, whatever. And then, so you got a guy like Charlie Lindgren that came out, he wasn't on many people's radar, had a great year last year, and he's built upon that, and he's even better this year. So yeah, hats off to Washington and our hapless Blackhawks here, just not looking too good. I'm looking actually 13 shots on goal.
Yes.
About halfway through the second. That's better.
And we're not power play.
But are we? Did they get it? Yeah. Okay, good. Well, what I have to say about the Hawks, I'm almost I haven't gone to the I can't think of the name of the website, but it's the Tankathon or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You can go and see like, okay, how many more games can we win, lose? How can we get that the best odds for that 1-1 pick? I'm kind of looking at that now. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to think. The Hawks are just. I finally ponied up, paid the extra money, switched providers, so I'm at least getting the games now. So I feel like I'm waiting for the game on some of the game by game analysis. But anybody can read a score sheet when they're blowing third period leads, just like the Islanders. And that was another one. actually beat the Islanders, but that was a toss-up. Like, which of these two teams that always blows a third period lead, which one is actually going to win the game? Turns out it was the Hawks, so at least they can do better than one team. But yeah, rough start, rough year again for Chicago. We expect it, but maybe not this bad. I don't know.
Yeah, we got a whole podcast on the Hawks. There's no doubt.
Well, we're talking about blowing third period leads. Tampa Bay right now 4-3 against the Blue Jackets. They were up 4-0 in this game. There's about 3 minutes left in it. The Blue Jackets 3 unanswered goals here in the third period to try to get back in it. Making it pretty wild. If you would have got on the Blue Jackets down 4-0, congratulations. Hopefully they come back and win for you, because that would have been a wild bet. But we got the first, we've got Tampa Bay 4-3. But the Blue Jackets, for where their record at, they have actually been pretty feisty this year. And I know, Toast, we've talked about them a couple times throughout the week, possibly jumping in on bets on them with the way they've been playing lately.
Yeah, and Braden Point just scored for the Lightning. Now it's a 5-3 game. But that was one where I was on the first period over. And it did not go, just because I knew there was going to be a lot of goals scored. This is Vasilevsky's 500th game, and he's got 306 wins in 500 games so far. So they had a ceremony for him before the game. They're obviously, he's going to really want that win. They're going to want to play hard for him down the stretch here. But man, you got to love what the Blue Jackets are actually doing right now as an organization. Marchenko, who I shipped off in a trade this week, and we'll talk about that at the very, very end here. And it was hard for me to actually get rid of Marchenko, the Russian, because I love to get those Russian players. But man, a couple more assists tonight. He is going to be something. He is a player. I told the guy I traded with him, like, don't be pissed off when I come asking for him here in a couple years, and I get him back from you somehow, because that's what I'm going to want. But yeah, Blue Jackets has actually come back. They've been starting this Greaves guy in goal, and honestly, he hasn't been awful. Tonight would be pretty difficult to actually go against the Lightning at their place at home. They're pretty tough to beat. And also with all the hype around Vasilevsky tonight and actually having that game. But man, you do like the way they've actually come back. The Blue Jackets are heading in the right direction.
Yeah, Aaron, you got anything on either of those? Or are we ready to head on to the next game?
Well, yeah, just real quick. It's a personal, I guess, rough patch here. But Braden Point, you just mentioned, Toast. It was his 21st goal on that empty netter. That was the guy that at the spin pick in our draft, so our home league draft, it was 50-50 between Braden Point and Jason Robertson. And Robertson is dog turds this year. Braden Point's tearing it up. He's awesome. He's fun to watch, and that makes me sick. So that's all I got for the Lightning. Is just every day I think about that, because it was that close. It was literally a coin flip, and God, I look stupid. But oh well, it is what it is. I'll still beat you this week.
Was that the 2-3 churn, or was that the 4 or 5 churn?
2-3.
At the 2-3 round 2-3. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was McDusty came back around. Then I took Robertson. Should have been Point. Point went right after.
Yeah, Dynasty league. That's tough though. I mean, you get Robertson. He's at least 4 to 5 years younger than Point. But
I don't want him. I don't care. You can keep the 4 to 5 years. He stinks. I don't want him. Actually, he's been playing better lately, but he missed an easy goal last night. I'm so mad at that guy, but whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Well, next thing we got Carolina going against the Islanders. We kind of talked about a little bit about the Islanders. They're really struggling, just 2 points ahead of Columbus for last place in the Metro. Carolina currently sitting with 39 points, third in the Metro. That game right now is sitting at 4-0 Carolina. What do you guys think? Hurricanes playing pretty well. They haven't got off to the huge start, but their team, we've just learned the last couple of years, are going to just stay in that mix.
Yeah, the Hurricanes, they'll make any goalie look good. They've actually proven that with the goalie carousel they've actually had, and the old farts they actually bring in as well. And it doesn't matter; they make anybody look good. I don't think Patrick Waugh's job should not be on the hot seat. But I did actually watch a press conference with him after they almost coughed up a 5-1 lead versus the Hawks at Islanders last week, and because they are the worst third period team in the entire NHL, and he's at loss for words. He doesn't really know what to do with this team. So it'll be interesting where the Islanders go. They were one of my favorites last year, kind of like one of my dark horses. They have went nothing but backwards, and they tend to me, they strike me as an older team. I'd have to go back and actually see all the ages of their players and stuff, but they're a little vanilla, right? They're not very exciting. They seem like the traditional Islanders this year.
Yeah, kind of boring hockey, grind them down, win the 1-goal games. And looking at them on paper, though, that you wouldn't think that with
No.
I when we get down to our bangers category here, spoiler alert, I got a guy from the Islanders that actually made that part of it. But then I started looking at those lines. I'm like, man, how are these guys so brutal? But I agree with you, Toast, about what you said about why I don't think it's I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's a coaching issue. I think it's just a player personnel. I mean, barely snuck into the playoffs, and then Carolina, of all teams, just whooped them last year. So Carolina, I'd say of late a couple wins, couple losses, but the win they had early on in the month, I think it was first week of the month. Yeah, December 5th here, they beat the Avalanche 5-3. So Carolina's beaten some tough teams. Now they get shut out by the Senators last week, but to you two, especially with that being your backup team there, the Senators have played very well. So it's not, a big deal. They just ran into the hottest team in the league is really their only one of their bigger losses here lately. But like where the Hurricanes are going, and Rod the Body's always got that team competitive, got them where they need to be. They're ready to go. They'll be ready to go in the playoffs. I have no worries about them playing well tonight, obviously.
Before we go and keep going around the ice to the rest of the games going on, I did just check the clock. We got ourselves about 8 minutes till the next 9 o'clock game comes on in the 9:30. Do we want to jump ahead to bets on those? Do you guys got any ones you want to talk about on the betting segment here before those games get started?
Yeah, JT, we can do both if you guys don't mind. We can actually talk about the late games and maybe bets at the same time. I don't know. Aaron, would you be okay with that?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Let's do a little combine. Let's combine the around the NHL and the betting segment. Here we go.
Where's my money? You gonna give me my money? Where's my money, man?
All right, let's jump into the late games here, and then we'll get back to some of the early games that are currently going on right now. We got the Seattle Kraken 15-2, taking on the Ottawa Senators 15-13-2. That's the 9 o'clock Central Time start, and then we got the Sharks 11-17-5 against the Jets. 22-9-1. Excuse me, they're the 9:30. The late game tonight. What do you fellas got going? Anything betting wise or anything you want to talk about for these two contests late night, in case any of the listeners want to jump on and put a late night bet in?
Well, I honestly, I love the Ottawa Seattle game. I love the under. And the main reason I like the under, and it comes down to one man, and it's Linus Ullmark. He has been just dynamite, man, for Ottawa. And that's what Ottawa needs, man. They got so much offensive firepower. They got talented defensemen. They're mainly offensive defensemen. They've been just begging for any competent goaltending over the past couple of years, and now they've actually got it. And you actually see they're climbing up the standings. There, I think at the playoffs, at the season end of the day, they'd be in the playoffs. They would actually make it. And my second favorite team, I'm loving that. Ottawa, they've won 5 of 6, 7 of the last 10. Ullmark, man, 6-0-1 in the last 7. And he's only allowed 11 goals in that span. And I think he's averaging something like 31 saves in that span as well. So it's not like he has only been, facing 18, 19, 20 shots a game. He's making it happen. So I and really the cord for Seattle, he's in net tonight as well. I really, really like them as well. And honestly, guys, this is a game where it's 5.5 on the over-under at plus money. if you can tease it up just a little bit and actually get 6, right? Under 6, I really like the under 6 right now. Pretty sure that's actually going to go. You could probably get that at minus 160, minus 170. That'll be one that you want to parlay with something else. But unless you want to go ahead and maybe put that together with a Brady Kachuk shot prop, right? At like maybe 4 shots on goal at minus 130. Then you can go ahead and maybe get the entire 2-leg parlay at plus 150. I really, really like that Ottawa-Seattle under.
Yeah, I like what you said there, especially about the 2 goaltenders, the goaltender matchup. Two good guys, one guy on a hot streak. Decord's been really consistent on a mediocre team. He's been one of the brighter spots of Seattle so far. So I'm right there with you on the Brady Kachuk shots on goal. I'm not going to say any of them are going to go in, but he's going to put shots on goal. He's so I'm right there with you at a +4 shot on goal and parlaying that with Ottawa money line. So kind of piggybacking on the hot streak that we've been talking about here for the Ottawa Senators. Again, that last wild card spot or that 3rd spot in the Atlantic, or I'm sorry, in the the Atlantic could technically be up for grabs there between them, Boston, Tampa Bay. Could definitely do it this year with as well as they've been playing. I know there was some Kachuk rumors to New York Rangers. The owner of the newer owner, better owner, the Ottawa Senators. We kind of talked about this last week. Came out, got right ahead of that. Said there's not a chance of us trading him. And what you read in papers or what you read online is Brady Kachuk isn't asking to be moved yet either. So they did address those rumors pretty quickly. So I like Ottawa tonight in the like you said, the Chucky over 4 shots on goal. So get that in. If you do that bet now, or when I put that in, I think that was that was a +226. So +4 on the shots on goal, and then Ottawa money line +226.
I was going to Ottawa money line +226. A little reminder: they're 5-1 in their last 6 games, so they've been on a pretty nice tear. Seattle on the other side is 3-3 in their last 6. They're winning and losing every other night. Technically, tonight is supposed to be a winning night for them, as they lost to Tampa Bay 5-1 on Saturday. Just a little info out there, but yeah, Ottawa has been on a tear. Have won 5 out of the last 6 going into this one. Seattle 3-3 in the last 6.
JT, another one I like to talk about is a game already in progress. I got a couple more here on the betting thing, and then we can move to the next segment. But the Boston Calgary one, it's in progress, 0-0. Just getting ready to start the second period there. Calgary, man, they have been a juggernaut at home. 11-4-1 at home. Boston's been playing well late. I was actually joking with Jim Bednar, our graphics guy there at Fantasy and Frames today, and he's like, "Hey, we're actually gonna go ahead and put up the graphics here for this week's show." And I'm like, "Put Marchand on there." I'm like, even though I hate the guy, he's like, "Hey, my way, I put Marchand on every single graphic." Marchand's been hot. This is a guy I actually got. If you guys remember right, I actually got, I believe, in the 17th round in our Dynasty draft, mainly because he's 36 years old. But I'm like, what a trade chip that's eventually going to be, and or he's just kind of keeping the seat hot until some of those minor leaguers actually come up on our rosters and actually take that spot. He has been scoring goals a bunch. I think he's up to 14 goals right now. He's had a hell of a couple weeks. Boston, they had a hard time on that West Coast swing, man. They lost to the Jets 8-1. Seattle 5-1, but they bounced back versus Vancouver 5-1 as well. But again, Calgary they've been money at home. And what I was thinking here, since Boston has really, really been hot of late, and also Calgary has been a juggernaut at home, it just feels like a game that could be on the draw. And that's showing right now. You got 10 shots on goal for the Flames, 5 for the Bruins. It's 0-0. I bet you could even get the live draw, meaning go to overtime there. You could probably get that at +300 right now. Sprinkle $10 on it. Go ahead and put it on there, and that may end up being a nice little bet.
Nice. I like that one. Yeah, that one's going to be an interesting one. Is like you said, both those teams been up and down, but Boston has finally seemed like they're getting it together. And Toast, right as you say that, coming out of the second period, Calgary on the board, 1-0. Matt Coronado with assists from Blake Coleman. I'll take the points from Blake Coleman. Thank you very much. 1-0 Calgary as they score in the first minute of the second period there. Let's jump into a couple other games here. We've got New Jersey up 2-0 at the end of 2 on St. Louis in that game. Goals from Palat and Nosen. Got a power play goal, couple assists for Luke Hughes with one and Jack Hughes with one. Hersher also with an assist, helps my cause. So that's where we're at currently at the end of 2 for New Jersey, St. Louis.
Yeah, and also JT, the Predators are up 1-0 versus Rangers here in a second, man. It's going to be sell for the Rangers. They're going to have to blow that up. They're shopping Kako, I actually heard right now. I don't really know what you could get from him. He was healthy scratch. He actually came out in the media. He wasn't too happy about it at all. Things could not be worse at Long Island there for the Rangers. And honestly, 1-0 versus the Predators. The Predators have had their own problems. You got Marchessault with a goal, Stamkos and Forsberg with the assist, whatnot. The Rangers, they have no life. So that's we're gonna have to maybe talk a little bit about the Rangers again. We could have a whole podcast about the Rangers, just like we could with the Hawks as well. But one tonight, a 9:30 p.m. start here in 28 minutes. Winnipeg at San Jose. Honestly, guys. San Jose, you can get them at plus 200 at home. Winnipeg, I mean, they had that start where they started off, 15-1, something like that. It was a crazy start. And I'm not saying they've been bad since then. They haven't. They've been up and down. They've been 500 since then. San Jose's sneaky good right now, especially at home. Macklin Celebrini has actually been on fire. And you just got to think that San Jose, besides one ugly loss to Tampa Bay in the last month, an 8-1 loss, they've been right there with everybody. If you really, really like a bet, which I'm actually on tonight, San Jose at the plus 1.5 at minus 135. But if you want to go ahead and just get them on the money line, you can go ahead and just get them on the money line at plus 200. Parlay that with the Ottawa Seattle under. That would be a nice little parlay. I bet you could probably get it for plus 700 or 800 right there. But don't count San Jose out. I kind of like that. Especially if San Jose gets 1-0. So
yeah, I was gonna say you got Winnipeg is just 4-4 in December after the huge hot start. They're just 4-4. On the other side, San Jose, they're 2-4 in December, but a nice 1-win,
close.
1-point win at Washington, a 1-point win at St. Louis, lost by 1 to Carolina, lost by 1 to Utah.
Yep.
Lost by 2 at Florida. As this was a big road trip they were on. They're finally here back at home, and then they got crushed by Tampa 8-1. But that wasn't a big 5-6 game road trip there. They lost 4-3, and this last one to Utah on Saturday was their first game at home. So a little bit of a home stretch here. So they have played tough on the road here for San Jose, to keep that in mind.
JT, for a young team like that, that's winning. That's winning right there. If I'm a San Jose fan, I am thrilled with what I'm actually seeing. You're in every single game. You're actually stealing a couple wins. You got all kinds of cap space. You got picks. You actually got young players coming up. You actually have veterans who are actually playing out their ass. It could be trade chips if you want them to. Things couldn't be better in San Jose if I'm a fan. I'd be thrilled to be a fan of them right now. If the Hawks could actually look like that right now, it would be. They're not that far off, but if they could really could be that competitive, I'd just be all over it.
Yeah, getting them to the money line to win is nice, but also if you can get a decent odds on a plus 1.5, San Jose has been nice, keeping games close and being in it till the end. So that plus 1.5 has been nice as well for the Sharks.
Yeah, and real quick, I did put Toast Takes out tonight, as I do at least 4 or 5 times a week. I put out 3 bets tonight on Toast Takes. You can actually find that at Toast Clark on the X. Jake Gensel, I had an anytime goal at plus 135. He does score that goal tonight. That it will be now his 7 straight games with a goal and 9 in his last 7. And I again had Washington and Chicago over the 5.5 goals at minus 120. That one right now, if you look at the matchups, it's went over 5.5 every single time, except once since 2017. And again, the shorthanded play of the day is, again, San Jose at plus 195 at home. So look at Toast Takes at Toast Clark.
I think the only other game I was trying to see, only ones we haven't talked about yet are the ones that are already have gone final, and that is Penguins 3-2 against the Kings, and Canadians with the 6-1 winners. A plus 115 at home was a 6-1 winner against the Sabres, as the Hurricanes have just went final 4-0 against the Islanders, and the Lightning with that Braden Point empty netter went final there 5-3 against the Blue Jackets. Anything you guys I know Aaron already said go against the Sabres, bet against them because they have been rough lately. Anything about the Kings or the Penguins? I know the Penguins are finally back up to 500 at 14-5 after a really rough start. The Kings have been a bit of a terror. They're 18-9-4 currently.
Yeah, I mean, a bit of a shock there. When you read that score off, I thought, is that right? Am I seeing that right? I did not have the game on, didn't watch it, and then I just pulled it up as you said that, JT. So a bit of a shock there. One thing I'll say, strictly from a fantasy perspective, because again, there's no way in a million years I would have put anything on the Penguins to beat the Kings, even with it being in Pittsburgh. But if you're in a fantasy league, and it doesn't really matter your format, well, I guess it kind of does. I would say the outlier will be the Dynasty format like we've got, but Banger League, Cat League, Redraft League, go out and get Kopitar now if you can. I mean, he's one of those guys that, I don't know how many years, it's probably at least year 3 where it's, he's his age, it's finally catching up now. No, it's not catching up. He's still playing line 1. Looks like got an assist tonight. Just looking at the stat line here real quick. Even though in the losing effort, picks up an assist, but that's his 27th assist tonight. So again, still playing line 1 center. He's just an ageless wonder. He's put together another great year. So it's one of those guys. He's, again, depending on your format, it's not somebody that is I would say even in some people's top 50, but he's certainly, score wise, he's right there. So it's just kind of one of the, he's not a big name that catches those looks. It's just like a throw in. So people it's just kind of that feel, you feel it out. It's like a golf shot, 100 yards and in, you kind of feel it. Just like feels like Kopitar is not really talked about, or he's kind of overlooked, but used to be a big name back in the day. But yeah. I mean, outside of this little dust up tonight, losing to the Penguins, I think the Kings look good. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and Ricard Raquel with the game winner. Yeah. We talked about Raquel last week, right?
Your
banger beauty, banger beauty, and man, what a hell of a season he's having.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, time to keep things moving along here on the pod. The future is bright.
And you, young Skywalker, we will watch your career with great interest.
In this segment, we talk about some of the young stars, up and coming guys we got to keep an eye out on. Who wants to start us off here tonight on The Future is Bright?
Well, JT, I'll take this one just because I want to say that me and the kids, man, we're big Star Wars fans. I love that transition piece. I watched Kenobi again with my daughter this week. We watched Revenge of the Sith over the weekend. I can't get enough of that. Love it. But love this segment here as well, just talking about these Dynasty League players. And guy I want to talk about is Denton Mateychuk from the Cleveland Monsters. What a hell of a name that is in AHL. That's an affiliate for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and Mateychuk, man, leading all defensemen scoring in the AHL. I want to go over some numbers with this guy here. He played 3 seasons, actually more seasons. He played 5 seasons, but maybe 3 full seasons in the WHL there when he was 17, 18, and 19 years old, and put up some big numbers for a defenseman. Basically well over a point per game last year in the WHL. he had 17 goals, 58 assists for 75 points in 52 games. All right, that's pretty good. You're thinking, all right, when you come to the AHL, in 2022, if I remember, he was the 12th overall pick by the Blue Jackets. All right. So you would expect he's going to come to AHL. He's going to take some lumps. He's going to have to learn how to play defense. His offensive game's going to suffer as a result. He may not be as good. No, he's leading the entire AHL in defenseman points this year. In 20 games, I'm sorry, in 25 games, 7 goals, 16 assists, 23 points in 25 games for a defenseman that young in the AHL level. You don't see that a lot. And pretty impressive for a 20-year-old. All right. He's got a debut, I'd imagine, this year with the Blue Jackets. Man, the Blue Jackets are just loaded with young talent, young Russians as well. And you end up throwing this guy in here as well. Dauber's got him listed as the number 9 defenseman overall. I really, really like Dauber's site. I love to see what the fantasy upside and the NHL certainty percentages are on Dauber. And if you're like above 7.5 out of 10 on both those, you're pretty dynamite. Dauber's got him listed at 8.5 out of 10 on the and an NHL certainty. I mean, he's going to make a roster, and he's actually going to be a mainstay in the NHL for years. And also, the fantasy upside is also at 8.5. That is super high in numbers for a guy like that. 6 foot, 195-pound left-handed shot. He was on Team Canada for the U20, the World Juniors last season. He had 4 points in 5 games. I believe that Daler, he actually has him in our Dynasty League, for our Bangers Dynasty League as well. This is a guy, don't sleep on him. I would imagine he's at least going to have a cup of coffee, if not after the break. Probably a good stay in the NHL this season. He's playing too good. You got to bring him up and watch that blue line. You got Werenski on the blue line there for Columbus. If they end up having any injuries at all, this is going to be their first call up. And once he gets there, it would be interesting to see if he can stay.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's he's a good one to point out, as you gotta think about these guys early on too. Who are going to get the call up later in the year? Who are the guys going to see time later on? Kind of get yourself prepared, especially if you're in a league like we have Dynasty, where you have like a taxi squad or like a minors eligible bench, where you can kind of stash guys and bring guys up and down. So that's always good to keep an eye on. Aaron, what do you got for us?
What I did, I took a deep dive, and I didn't make it very far. So NCAA, which I don't know if you guys, you do the bundle or whatever, however you get your NHL games, but ESPN Plus offers quite a few NCAA games. I'm not sure if it's all of them, or some of them might be on the Big Ten network. It depends. Like Michigan State right now, number 1 overall team in the country, but Boston College number 2. So typically have a real good rivalry with Boston College and Boston University. It's they have the Bean Pot out there. It's a whole different level of hockey. Notre Dame, North Dakota is kind of the top echelon. Denver, that won the Frozen Four last year. So NCAA's come along. Some rule changes this year that go into effect, I think, the next year, that allows, and I don't know, I just high level know it's changes to benefit the players, changes that should. It doesn't prevent a player from playing, and I can't remember exactly what it is. If you don't lose a year if you decide, okay, I'm going to play junior, then I can come back. I can still play hockey the next year. So it's kind of like good news for the NCAA, good news for the CHL, the Canadian Hockey League. Might be bad news for the USHL is kind of the what the take is out there for that. So anyway, all this to say, if you have access to the games, are a lot of fun to watch. You got the bands, so you got the college atmosphere. That's the best part of college sports, in my opinion, are the bands for the football games. But you got bands that play there at the games. You got a very diehard crowd. You got good rivalries there. So I say that I took a deep dive, but I didn't get past the number 2 team. They're just so loaded. Boston College has a line of 3 can't miss NHLers with Ryan Leonard. I'm not going to really go too much into him, but James Hagens, who should be at this point is the consensus 2025 number 1 pick, and then Gabe Perreault. Gabe Perreault's already been drafted. He's in his sophomore year. The Rangers took him. I can't remember. Maybe Toast, or ballpark or where he went. I know that he went early for the Rangers. It was a no-brainer pick when he was still on the board. But James Higgins, again, the should be the 1-1 pick. He's a freshman, 20 points in 16 games for Boston College. Again, it's a loaded team. He's playing on probably a team that maybe couldn't compete with an AHL team. I don't know. Maybe the bottom feeder AHL team but they would absolutely just destroy any ACHL team. So very, very, very good team. Again, loaded, always competitor, always playing in the tournament at the end of the year. And then again, Gabe Perreault, sophomore year. He's actually the point leader on the team right now, 23 points in 16 games. So just 3-point difference between these two. But he's that highly coveted right wing position. And again, just has some real high level line mates now. And that's important because, again, with the Rangers being the mess that they are, I don't know who's to say if they don't have a conversation with him, like, hey, we need you now, type of deal when they talk about him. Maybe he bumps up or maybe they move Kreider. I think we talked about that last pod too. There could be a spot for this guy, or you had just mentioned him today, Capo Caco. I actually heard Chicago in some of that talk is flinging him over there. So we'll see. So those two guys, again, NCAA hockey. I made it all the way. I got through the number 1 team, went down to the number 2 team. I'm like, oh wow, what a loaded roster, and I stopped there. So maybe next pod I'll look at a couple more teams, but it's a lot of fun.
Get to number 5, the deep dive, right?
Yeah, real deep dive. But I love, and like I said, with the games on, just watch a game or two. I mean, hockey's hockey. There's no fighting, but so what? It's these kids still, they run each other a million miles an hour, and it's a good product. It's well done. It's a lot of fun to get into that.
Well,
if you never made to a college hockey game, I was going to say college hockey games are awesome to go to live. They're super fun.
Yeah, and got a buddy, a good friend of mine, Jeff Martin. So we all know who Jeff is, and Jeff actually works for Michigan State, and he would text me the other night. Wow. It was at the Michigan State game. In Michigan State versus Minnesota, and I'm like, hey, how is Oliver Moore actually looking? Because he's a big time Hawk prospect there, drafted I think maybe 19th overall, and last year's draft, or 2 years ago in the same Bedard draft there. Anyway, and he had said that in that game, I actually did a little bit of research there. In that one game, Michigan State and Minnesota, there was 19 draftees in that game.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, just think about that. That's college hockey right there, man. And that would be one I'd want to go up there and actually go up to Michigan State, or actually go up to the Dakotas. And maybe spend a weekend, hit a couple college hockey games. That's big time hockey up there.
Yeah, fun time.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's one of those things still on my bucket list of something I want to go to. I'd love to go to the Frozen Four. I would love to get to the Final Four, do that one year, get a group of guys together and go to that. That's I've gotten lucky in my life. I've been to a lot of big sporting events. That's one of the few I've not made it to. So it's still love to do that. All right, fellas. It's time to get into my favorite segment of the show. Let's bang. So this is where we talk about our Bangers League. This is our format that we have for our home league Dynasty is the Bangers League. And we got an immediate comment from our buddy John McGlynn, who's also in our league with us. He says, let's keep trying. That is, we talked about the trade last week between Toast and John. Toast trying to steal some guys away from John. He helped on. John's like, I need more if I'm going to move those guys. Good job, John, sticking with it. So John's loving it. This is his first year in a dynasty hockey league as we made the switch over from a keepers league to a full-fledged dynasty league this year, and our reset. So Toast, even though he's in first place league away, he's out there trying to work the phones, work the moves. Toast, I'll give you a little props. Currently in our Around the Ice Fantasy Dynasty League, host Hosas Jepson's Malort is 9-1. I battled you last week. I thought I was going to get an upset, and your team just put it to me on Saturday night and took a big old lead, and I didn't have enough guns going on Sunday to bring me back. So you got the win there. You're cruising along in first place, 9-1 with over 3,100 points to lead the league. Second place right now is Five Hole Ticklers, 7-3. 2,900 points. Slewfoot, Tometich making a roll. So Aaron's team is moving up. They're up to 6-4. He's got 11-17 toast. Actually, I'm looking at it. He actually has 11 more points than you for overall leader. So Aaron coming through big time here of late. He's at 6-4. Meat Sweats sitting there at 6-4 as well. Crack House at 6-4. Long live the Note down there at 5-5 in sixth place. Iserman in my pants is my team. We just a little bit of a struggle bus. I feel like every other week I'm good. Every other week my team plays really well and I score a lot of points. And then the next week I just fall apart. I always lose in the high scoring matchups and the low scoring matchups. I like somehow barely pull out a win. But I'm 4-6 currently right now with 2,902 total points. American SEAL Team 6, 3-7. Austin Power Play, that's our guy. McGlynn's 3-7, and Hull and Oates is currently 1-9. But if you do look at the scoring, even with the records kind of being spread out a little bit there, if you do look at the scoring, everyone is within about 300 points of each other. So it's not too far off. The teams at the bottom are maybe 150 to 200 points behind the top team. So we do have a lot of people kind of in the mix there in this league. Let's talk a little bit about Bangers League, fellas.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk bangers right here. God, I love a bangers league. There's nothing better than that. I know it sounds funny to say, but there really is not. We've talked about that. We like a bangers league because you give value to defensemen, and you can actually make defensemen valuable, and then therefore there's some forwards as well that actually do a bunch of different everything, and it's a great format. But I hate to talk about this player because he's a St. Louis Blues, and it just makes me want to like brush my teeth, and I just want to gag. I hate the Blues. I really do. But Jake Neighbors, man, he's a banger beauty. All right, this guy. So far, the stats aren't overwhelming as far as scoring the puck. All right, 10 goals, 7 assists, 17 points, but that's not bad. I'm going to talk about something that actually makes Neighbors a great addition to a Bangers League on a Bangers League format. 26 PEMs so far, so I would say he's pacing for close to 90 PEMs. That's a lot, all right? Also, 63 shots on goal, so he's just not a bruiser out there like you're just, hey, I'm trying to hit somebody. I can't do much of else. I can't skate. Like, Neighbors is fast. He's a powerful skater. Tons of acceleration, but also 79 hits right now. He's on pace for 275 hits, 22 blocks as well. The guy's doing everything. He could be a Cats League guy, all right? But in a Bangers League, he's great. And here's what I love about him. Caps League. So if you're actually in a cap league for salary cap, as well as Dynasty, he just signed a 2-year extension at 3.75 AAV. That is a really good steal for a guy. It's a line one with Thomas and Buchnevich. He's got left wing, right wing eligibility as well. There's not a whole lot not to like about Neighbors. His future is really bright in St. Louis. It pains me to say that, but this is a guy I probably wish I actually had on my Dynasty roster, especially in that Bangers route. So look at Neighbors. Again, great deployment, great line mates. St. Louis, since Montgomery actually come on there to be the coach, they've actually been on the up. I think tonight they are actually down at home versus the Devils 3-1. He has not actually scored, but the Devils are actually playing pretty good. I hope St. Louis loses every single game the rest of the way, but Jake Neighbors actually puts us some pretty good statistics.
Yeah, Neighbor's been solid. 130 points in our Bangers League currently, just 22 years old. So a young fellow, he's averaging just under 4 points per game in our Bangers League. 130.4 points so far this year. Pretty solid.
Well, and JT, I'll say right too before I turn over to Aaron. This is a guy that did not tear up juniors. He did not. I mean, if you look at his junior statistics, they were not overwhelming at all. So for him to actually come in here and actually put up the numbers he's actually putting, last year he shot at 18.6%. This year he's shooting at 16%. He had 145 shots on goal in 77 games. He had 27 goals last year. This is a guy's just finding his stride, man. Again, that quick acceleration, very, very fast player. Did not show off in juniors, but now he's like showing in the NHL. I mean, he is a guy you want to get on a keeper roster for sure.
Yeah, just to kind of compare him to maybe his better known teammate in Jordan Kyrou. Kyrou has 126.4 points in our Bangers League, currently about 10 spots behind Neighbors. Kyrou had an ADP on Fantrax of 102.97, so 102nd pick.
Yeah.
Neighbors 188th pick. So Neighbors going about 80 picks later than Jordan Kyrou and currently outscoring him on the season.
Who you got,
Aaron?
Aaron?
You got somebody for us here in the Let's Bang League?
Well, I'm gonna do something I've never done, and that's actually compliment the Blues. I don't know if you guys saw this, but they just picked up Cam Fowler. Just picked up Cam Fowler. Got him from Anaheim. I don't think he's ever played anywhere else. I think he was drafted by Anaheim young, and then he just went over to the Blues. So I don't know what they think they're doing. I don't know what you got the rip-off trade or the offer sheet that they did earlier in the year where they totally just got the rug from under the Edmonton Oilers and took them by surprise. Now you got to move like this. These little moves, and I've heard Saad they're looking for a place for him. So I don't know. I just don't trust them. They don't do anything good. The winning the cup in 19 or whenever it was, that was a fluke. But to your overall point about Bangers leagues, not only does it bring out defensemen as a highlight, but it also those third liners, like you said. So your prototypical third line, Jake Neighbors, those guys that you would never in a million years draft in any kind of league, you do in a Bangers league though, because you get those extra points. So the banger I've got tonight is the actually kind of, I don't know, I think beginning of the year we might even had, I can't remember if you said something about him, Toast, but Maxim Siplikanov.
Islanders.
Sorry, on the Islanders. Yeah, the crappy Islanders. I even wrote it out phonetically because I knew I would butcher the name. I still butchered it, but he's this 26-year-old Russian guy. I think again, I know in the off season we kind of took a deep dive on this guy. Big body guy, 6'3", 220 pounds. Again, the Russians say he's 26, but he's probably really 32. Who knows? But
he's with the KGB.
Yeah. There's something going on with this guy. I don't know. You just watch your cell phone when you're around him. He's looking over your shoulder, but he not nothing jumps off. He again, going back to this Bangers theme, he's your prototypical third liner. So he gets third line minutes, 6 goals, 12 assists. Nothing really jumps out the page. But what does jump off the page is his hits. So his hits, he's at 87 hits, top 15 in the league right now. And he's again, I'm gonna kind of got a theme going with his right wings, but again, if you're in a position league or a cat league that you have to start a position, those right wings can get very rare, and this guy's a good pickup there. So thought at this point we might see a few more tucks, but just might be more of that prototypical banger, which in a banger league, great pickup. I think actually for forwards with his 87 hits. I'm sorry, his blocks middle of the road. He's under 20. Blocks for forwards lead the league right now. One of the knucklehead Tanev brothers, Brandon Tanev, leads the league with 57. So
you mean the guy like this?
Anyway, yeah. Yeah, that knucklehead. Yeah, who would have thought he's out there blocking shots with that face of his, with those long eyes and his it's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Hey, that's our banger segment. Now it's time to jump in to all those people out there waiting patiently for the categories league segment. Here we go.
The category is
This is where we talk about this is where we go over our categories, everything. We actually had a question here before we jump into the segment. Let's bring up the question here from Jorge. He said he's got a cat's question for us. What scoring metrics are the big ones to pay attention to for you if you're getting in a cats league?
Well, I mean, honestly, every cats league is a little bit different, but honestly, you have to look at those. You got to look at those categories such as face-off wins, giveaway takeaways, plus minus, which I would hate to actually do a plus minus because that really doesn't tell the entire story. And in hits, blocks, PIMs maybe, but even short or even special teams points and stuff like that. So, and that's kind of who we concentrate on, those type of players in this segment. And one guy, JT, that we'll talk about here, Frank Vetrano. Remember Frank the Tank last year? Man, he was something else for Anaheim last year, man. He was just a ball of fire. Remember, I think early on in our Bangers League, I mean, this guy was just tearing it up. Like, where does this guy come from? And he's been in the league, I don't know, maybe 8, 9, 10 years. I think last year, I'm reading the stats here right now. He had 272 shots on goal, had 156 hits, 78 blocks, 37 goals. That is unheard of from a forward to have that many hits and that many blocks, that many shots on goals, and that many goals, right? And he ended up throwing 20 power play points on top of it there as well. This year, not so much, all right? So he's a little snake bitten, in my opinion. The underlying stat, I say the geek numbers say he's having a pretty good season. He should be getting more. Right now, he's got 93 shots on goal this season. He's pacing for, again, just what he had last year, 272 shots on goal. He's got a good takeaway giveaway percentage differential at 0.37. He's pacing for over 250 hits. Who does he think he is, a Brady Tkachuk? I mean, come on. 75 blocks, even has 20 PIMs right now. Here's what I like Vetrano. 7.5% shooting percentage. That's got to come up. Got to come up. He's only got 7 goals, 7 assists this year, 14 points, pacing for around 50 points. That's got to get better. I understand that Anaheim is still in a rebuild. He doesn't get to play with all the young guys, right? Like Carlson and McTavish and Zegras, who's Zegras going to find his way out of town. All right, so they're acting like they don't want him no more, and they're like, well, the Hawks actually want him. I think he's hurt. He's going to be out for a bit, but he plays with Terry. All right, but here's what I also like about Vetrano: left wing, right wing eligible, 30 years old. He's in the last year of a 3.65 million AAV. Aaron, I'm going to ask you: do they trade him, or do they actually say, you know what, we're going to let him hit the open market? Because a guy like this is going to be 31 next year. He's going to have interest on the open market, especially if they can get him for, let's say, a 2-year deal for under $5 million. I'm thinking Anaheim's going to want to keep a hold of him. They got a ton of cap space. What is he going to do? He plays line 1, power play 1. What do you think about Vetrano? I'm not sure what they're going to do with him. I would keep him if I were them.
Yeah, I honestly think with Vetrano and now that they have Trouba for the moment, I think these are two guys that they move in a package deal at the deadline. So they take their 2 veterans. Everybody's looking for a defenseman. Trouba can fill the spot on almost every team that's playoff bound or playoff ready. Huge contract with Trouba. The Vetrano contract's not that bad, but so there's a lot of money to take on. They're going to have to eat some of it if they do that. But I honestly see them packaging those 2 and shipping them off at the deadline. Not the end of the world if they kept that veteran presence, though. You want to do that. I mean, the Hawks really, that's kind of what they were lacking. I mean, wasn't their fault Taylor Hall got hurt, but they didn't have that veteran presence. Bedard was trying to do everything on his own, broke his jaw, and now he stinks this year. So I don't know. You got to have that veteran. Oh, he stinks.
Aaron's like, no, I'm not backing down. He stinks.
No, he's a sophomore slump. Everybody gets.
Hey, he's the
fine.
third
He'll be back
youngest
this
player in the
year.
league. He'll be okay. The third youngest player in the entire league.
He needs
He'll
to
be
put his
okay.
bubble back on. Get his bubble
Yeah,
back
well,
on.
that's-
Protect
hey,
that face. Get it.
But Aaron,
just do
he
something.
looked. Vetrano looked pretty good with him, wouldn't he? I mean, honestly,
It
that's the
would.
type of
It
guy
would.
that put him on 1-1 with Bedard.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. And honestly, this is a guy that would probably sign like a 2-year deal, 3-year deal from 31, 32, and 33 for probably less than $5 million. He does a little bit of everything. I like that. I like that. I wouldn't want to get him at the deadline because I think you'd have to give up too much, and we're not in a position the Hawks are to actually, because we're not winning. That would be an off-season move. But yeah, I if I'm them, I'm keeping him around. They got tons of cap space. I think they got $17 million in cap space right now. I like Vetrano. So I think the 7.5 shooting percentage, man, that's going to have to come up. That's way too low.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say. Speaking of 7.5 shooting percentage, my guy for the Cat League, I did this, based it on the same math. So if I'm targeting shots on goal, Jonathan Marchessault, who's up with the awful,
Scored tonight.
horrendous, he scored tonight. And it was before I even put my sheet together. I wrote this down before he scored. So I did not cheat. I did not look ahead. This dude, he played great in Vegas. He stinks in Nashville. All of Nashville stinks. But shot on 95 shots on goal, so just ahead of your boy. 7.4% shot shooting percentage. He's a career 11.4 percentage shooter. So he's only got 7 goals so far this year. That means he's got a lot of goals left in the tank. If he gets to his 11.4%, he's going to end the year with 29 goals. That's a lot between now and then. Yeah. He's at 7. A lot of goals to be scored, a lot of points to be had in a Cat League. If he's on pace or stays at the same subpar, career 11.4%, he stays at about that 7.4, 7.5%, still on pace for 21 goals, which is not good for him, but not bad either when he's sitting at 7. So yeah, invest now. It's one of those guys. Target him. Everybody's off the Nashville. They hate him. Might be a guy worth looking at in that Cat League.
Yeah, he's got to be on the move, man. He's got to be on the move. You got to be thinking like, I don't know that contract. What was that, Aaron? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't. It's a lot, but I don't know.
Yeah,
not enough.
I understand he's old, but at the same time, if he's got somewhat of a decent contract, he's got to be able to help someone and he's not going to be helping Nashville. Put it that way.
No.
All right, fellas. Hey, let's make a deal. All right, here in our Let's Make a Deal segment, we talk over either trades that have happened in our leagues or trades we're trying to make happen or trades we want to try to make happen. So if you got a trade or anything, feel free to always send it to us. You can send it to us during the show. You can always send it to one of our X accounts. Ask us beforehand. We can bring it up and talk about it on the show. So feel free to send those over to us. Again, you can follow me at JT Orange, Toast at Toast Clark, and Aaron at Titch4141. They're over at Twitter or the X, whatever you like to call it. I still call it Twitter, so I will keep calling it Twitter. But let's make a deal. Toast, I think you got a deal done there in the old Home Bangers League this week. Let's bring that one up. What do we got?
Yeah, so the Home Dynasty Bangers League, non-cap league. All right. So again, traditional scoring, except we actually have an emphasis on hits, blocks, PIMs, that type of stuff. And again, being a dynasty league, we just had our inaugural draft this year, so it didn't take long. I really, being a Hawks fan, I wanted to get Bedard on my team. And I went ahead and reached out to the team that's 1-9, and put a offer out there, and it ended up happening. So I was able to get Connor Bedard and Tage Thompson, and I actually sent off Timo Meier and Marchenko from Columbus. So a lot of the blowback from like league managers was that's a pretty lopsided trade. Okay, maybe so in the long term, right? But in the short term, I mean, I'm giving up points. Bedard actually plays for a very, very poor Chicago team, who again I think they're eventually going to be good. They've got tons of cap space. They actually have tons of draft picks. Great players down at the AHL that are going to be able to come up here. The future is very, very bright. And I give away, and I get Tage Thompson. Tage Thompson, 28 years old. This is a guy who is going to, he had a 94-point season, I think, 2 years ago, followed up by a 58-point season. That has everything to do with the inconsistencies of that franchise and Buffalo. It has nothing to do with him. He is a dynamite player. And I send away Timo Meier. Timo Meier consistently shoots the puck. Tons of, and he'll hit as well. 28 years old. Has great deployment there. And New Jersey, they actually score a bunch of goals as well. And the corner piece in this entire trade, in my opinion, the guy actually traded away was the best player at this time right now, not long term, but the best player right now is Kirill Marchenko. And Marchenko for the Columbus man, Marchenko is on a heater right now. So I want to ask the question. I understand I won this trade probably in a dynasty league, but what if this was a redraft league? All right, redraft league, Bedard and Thompson for Meier and Marchenko. Who wins that? All right. And in a redraft league with basically standard scoring, non-bangers, who wins that? In your guys' opinion?
Yeah, well, I think easy he wins that one.
Yep.
Bedard off year, sophomore slump. And I can't remember what Tage Tom, had a good start. I think but he still shoots the puck a million miles an hour. So even if he hits a lull, I think he's still gonna, be okay with end of the year. But yeah, Marchenko and Timo Meier, definitely the two, play, well, Meier plays for a contender. He's going to be in most of those games. He's going to be getting his top line minutes. Got to be out there shooting and checking. And Marchenko again, a bit of a surprise. Well, obviously a huge surprise for Columbus and the level of play, but just the fact he gave up a Russian, I don't know what's going on there. So,
well, I was going to name my team, like Putin's Red Army or something.
Yeah.
I was kind of ready, but I couldn't do it.
I'm sure there's another one you can find. You'll just go scout the KHL. It seems like that's where you're set to go. But anyway.
Aaron, I'll challenge you here a little bit. I know we're up on time here. We got to end this show, but I'm just going to say, I will challenge a little bit on the sophomore slump for Connor Bedard. Here's a guy, 26 points in 31 games. Again, he's not lighting up the lamp there. 7 goals, 19 assists, 77 shots. He's only shooting 9.1%. 19-29 of ice time. I mean, considering all the problems they've actually had, they switched coaches. They've actually been switching line mates like crazy. I mean, he's been Nick Foligno now, of all people, is 36 years old, the captain. He's actually up on the first line as well. It's not a winning situation for him. And for him to still have 26 points in 31 games, let's say this was a non-bangers, that's pretty damn good for the third youngest player in the league. I'm going to go ahead and just continue. And I know you're a big Hawks fan as well. So, I know you want Bedard to actually do well as well. I'm not sure that's a sophomore slump, more so just being part of a rebuilding franchise that actually is still, again, trying to find their way. They're going to have a lot of young guys actually come up. Love Connor Bedard.
And we've got a comment from our buddy John Martinez. Says, can't believe the commissioner allowed that trade in a brand new dynasty league. What a scam. Respectfully, the crack house.
John said, he goes, don't agree with the trade respectfully. And what he said.
Always the respectfully. Yeah,
respectfully. And I appreciate that respectfully.
Carries more weight.
Yeah, I think that's a tough trade. I think Toast, obviously you have the highest upside long term there with Bedard, but again, how quickly can the Blackhawks make this turnaround? How quickly can they rebuild this team? I think you're taking a little bit of a chance there. And then also Tage Thompson, while a talent on another team that is like a dumpster fire at the moment, which Buffalo is really struggling. We've seen him play really well, but we've seen him struggle when the team struggles. So I think sometimes maybe, and these are the trades you've got to evaluate in Dynasty. Do you take maybe the guys that right now are the best players right now is the guys in the points, or do you take a little bit of that down the line these guys probably could end up winning? So again, I think it's depending on what your strategy is right there, but I think I think it was a pretty good trade. I couldn't believe you got Bedard. I know you were mad you didn't get him in the draft. Freddie stole him from us. So Freddie, nice job by Freddie to eventually get him back to you and get some guys for it. So pretty interesting trade there. But final thoughts from you guys here as we kind of close out the show. We want to thank everybody who's watched, everybody who's commented, got in there. We really appreciate it. Fellas, what are the final thoughts of the night?
Well, final thoughts is everybody really appreciate the listeners tonight. If you guys could do us a favor, go on YouTube, give us a like, go at Fantasy and Frames on Spotify as well. Follow that channel. Around the Ice every single Tuesday. We're starting to actually gain viewers. This is a good show. We take a lot of pride in this. Putting together a good show. We work our butts off to actually watch a lot of hockey during the week, bring you guys as much of the analysis as possible, try to have a little bit of fun at the same time. So if you guys can do that, smash that like button, give us a follow. You can follow us on Fantasy and Frames or FIF at FIF Hockey, right, on the X. That's where we actually want you to follow us and give us a listen. Really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, and go Hawks! Getting ready for that game at Wrigley. Hawks and Blues, can't wait. That's part of the new year. Fighting off that hangover. Tune in the game. It'll be a good time. So
I don't mean to. Me and Toast were looking at the tickets when they originally came out, and they were so much. We wanted to go so bad, and Toast is like, I don't know if I can make that happen. So we're like, maybe we might have to just go to a Columbus Blue Jackets Hawks game in Columbus instead. So that's what we're talking about. That's trying to get that one on the list here for the spring.
Yeah, we're gonna do that, but also too, maybe JT, we just go ahead and go to the hockey barn there in Chicago.
Yeah.
And good just kind of hang out and just maybe for the game, we just go there.
Play some bubble hockey.
That's not a terrible idea. I like that. That's a good idea.
Yep. Hey, we'll have a threesome there, Aaron. Get ready. That would be amazing. I like that. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll run the table at bubble hockey. I'm a prodigy, so let's do it.
Right. We want to thank everybody for joining us tonight here on Around the Ice on Fantasy and Frames. If you're into college football and betting this weekend, stick with us. We've got the Stew with JT Brew with me, your host, and Ben Dyer coming up here after the show. We'll be on here about 10 minutes, about 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 Central Time. We'll be talking about all the awards that went on this weekend, the upcoming playoff games. We kind of gave our thoughts last week on that stuff, but obviously we've got a lot more information and the lines have moved. So stick around for that to watch me and Ben Dyer on the Stew with JT Brew here on Fantasy and Frames. Again, thank you everybody for joining us. Like and subscribe. Obviously, leave us a comment and a rating. That would be fantastic. And go look at Fantasy and Frames. Go to fantasyandframes.com. Go to the YouTube channel. Check out all their other shows. Tons of content here as we're coming down the end of the fantasy football season, as we're just getting things cranked up here for fantasy hockey. So we appreciate everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll check you next time here on Around the Ice on Fantasy and Frames.